بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. بعد inshallah we'll proceed from where we left off last Sunday. So from last class, speaking about exploring further the connection between Ramadan and Quran, or and the special reason why God chose the month of Ramadan to reveal the Quran. Which specifically highlights the importance of Taqwa, and to speak a little bit more about Taqwa itself so that we have a better understanding of what it actually means. So, if God sort of makes guidance by Quran is meant to guide you. There's a book of guidance. But that guidance He cannot provide for you unless you have taqwa. So that's the gist of the matter. And why that is so, that's what we need to discuss. Why only by means of taqwa, Quran can provide you the guidance that you need. Just from the first verse of Al-Baqarah, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That book, there is no doubt in it. It's a guidance for people who have taqwa. So that makes it mandatory to seek taqwa first before you seek the knowledge of Quran itself. Because you cannot switch priorities around. The priority is taqwa, and then after that Quran. What does you want? Nafila? Hajjah? So you cannot see the priorities around. What comes first, it has to come first. So taqwa, pursuit of taqwa first, and then after that the pursuit of the Quran itself. So we go to Surah Al-Layl. That will help us have a better understanding, a precise understanding of taqwa. It's all about what are its signs when you have it. Because لِكُلِّ حَقٍّ حَقِيقَةٌ, every truth has a reality. As we said yesterday, every truth has a reality. I mean, the truth is one thing, but how the truth manifests within you is what we call reality. So the haqiqah of taqwa, how when taqwa is acquired, it has a reality. It's a way it manifests within you. So that's what we need to know, so that you can gauge yourself and see where your taqwa is at. So in Surah Al-Layl, the chapter of the night, so it begins by drawing our attention to natural phenomena, which is the night and the day and their alternation, and the creation of pairs. Then after that, it says, Inna sa'yakum la shatta. Your deeds are very different. I mean that even though beside the natural law of duality, yet as individuals we excel through our own deeds, independently of being a pair. So inna sa'yakum la shatta. Then fa'amma man, so verse 5, that's the verse that we are looking for. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْعُسْرَى وَمَا يُغْنِي عَنْهُ مَالُهُ إِذَا تَرَدَّى. So فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى, the one who gives, وَاتَّقَى, and maintains taqwa or God-Reverence, وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and holds as true the good promise of God, فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى, will make it easy for him to find the easy path. So God will make your path easy in life. وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ, the one who holds back, a man who is stingy, وَاسْتَغْنَى, and finds satisfaction in what he owns. وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and does not hold as true the good promise of God. فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْعُسْرَى, will make it easy for him to find the hard path. So those few verses explain very clearly the meaning of taqwa. So this is very simple, because Quran is presents such wonderful ideas in a very simple language. So all this is around taqwa. So you see taqwa is in the middle, and it is opposite. So these are usually opposites, helps you understand things. As they said, things are made clear by their opposites. So God gives us these two. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. The one who gives وَاتَّقَى. So one who gives, and in place of what he is giving away, he holds on to taqwa. So he gives and keeps taqwa, so to speak. And then saddaqa, and holds us through the good promise of God. Then that's the easy path, al-yusra. Your path in life will be very smooth, very smooth path. Your life will be easy. Then here is the al-usra, is the hard part. You have this though, al-yusra and al-usra as a result. So here, a'ata, he has given, bakhila, his whole back. So he's stingy. Ittaqa, he holds on to taqwa, his taqwa. Istaghna, the one here, so he holds back. Why istaghna? Because he finds that what he holds back is what will give him satisfaction. And because he thinks that, then therefore he will not give it. So the one who gives thinks that his taqwa is what that will satisfy him. So because of that, he's able to give. So this is the idea of al-istighna, that is the whole idea. Al-istighna. Although centered around this idea of what do you think will give you satisfaction? Is it God or what you have? So this is a choice that you have to make. The one who thinks that his property or what he owns is what will give him fulfillment and satisfaction, then that is totally the opposite of taqwa. Yeah. Even if that person is praying and so forth, it doesn't have to, he won't be able to have taqwa. It's just symbolic. So then taqwa, we call that al-istighna'u billah. Al-istighna'u billah, to feel satisfaction by God. Instead of by what you own. So the whole idea of taqwa is centered around this idea of al-istighna. So that means where's the eraser? Oh, okay, it's right there. So if you got that, I'll erase that. Al-istighna. So if you, God say give and you give, believe in that first, that your satisfaction comes from God and not from your possession. So when you give, because you are convinced that what you give will not fulfill your soul. Your soul will not be satisfied. No matter how much you give, your soul. So you give in the belief that you will find satisfaction only through God. And God in turn will give you taqwa. And what does that mean? That taqwa is something that God puts in your soul. It's an awareness a reality that God puts in your soul that eventually gives fulfillment to your soul. So the whole idea is around the al-ghina, al-istighna. Al-istighna'u billah or al-istighna'u bil-mal or bil-nafs. Either to find satisfaction in God or find satisfaction in yourself or your possession. So if God in return gives you taqwa, He puts taqwa within yourself so that your contentment does not depend on something else. It's within your own self. It has to be within you. It should not be something that, as long as what satisfies you is in something else, there's still a gap for need, because you need something else for your fulfillment. But if it is within your own self, then you find total peace. You're completely and totally satisfied and content. Because it's in yourself. This is the whole point. Everything should be within yourself, not within something else. We recall our discussion about Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam as he was searching for the truth. And in that quest, his questing was looking for the truth, and he was looking everywhere. And he began to look at the sky and saw the star and said, "Here's my Lord," and the moon, the same thing, and the sun, the same thing. And eventually, if he saw it within himself. So that's the point that he was set. So the whole focus should be towards yourself. Unless you find the truth within yourself, you still are going to keep looking. Once you find it within yourself, then that's the end of your quest. You just have to live with it and hold on to it. So God says, سَنُرِهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. I'm going to show them my signs in the horizon, that means everywhere around them, but also within themselves. So that is within themselves until it becomes clear that He is the truth. That He is the truth, but finding that truth is ultimately should happen if you within yourself. So until it becomes clear that He is the truth. So, but you start searching from outside of you, around you, above, below, right or left. So eventually that should lead you eventually back to yourself. That's where you should come to the ultimate realization. So when Sayyidina Ibrahim ﷺ, when he reached that point, when he came back to himself, that's when he said, "Inni wajjahtu wajhiya lilladhi fatara as-samawati wal arda hanifa." Because at that point there's no more barrier between you and God. There's a direct interaction. So similarly, when we're talking about taqwa, unless that satisfaction is embedded within your own self, you will not truly have peace of mind, because each time you have a need, your need depends on something outside of yourself. So that means that you have to seek that out. If it is your wealth, then your need depends on your wealth. The world is not you. Yeah. So each time, yeah, if your need depends on something else, there's always an element of uncertainty and instability. So your heart is always, but once it's within yourself, then that's it. It's done. That's for good. Then God says, remember your Lord within yourself. وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ. So it's all about internalizing everything, bringing everything back within yourself so that it does not depend on something else. Because that will kind of create some type of split in your attention and in your awareness between God and something else. So totally actually experience the meaning of the oneness of God, you have to reach that point whereby the reality or the truth is something that emanates from within yourself and not from something that is outside of you. So once you have reached that point, you have reached that, they call it the greatest satisfaction, al-ghina al-a'zam. Then you now can dedicate yourself to the study of the Book of God. Until then, you're not ready. Because if you are not done with your nafs, you can't worship truly. You can't devote yourself truly to the Word of God. Because your nafs will continue to always distract you. It's always demanding, you want something, so you are distracted constantly because your need lies in something else. So you will not be able to truly connect with the Quran and devote yourself so that your heart is not split, is not divided between Quran and another pursuit. As you know, God does not like something that is divided. So if your heart is divided between God and something else, it doesn't work. If your heart is divided between the Quran and something else, it does not work. Your heart has to be fully focused, and that's only at that point then you can connect, and that is not possible if your soul is still not content, not satisfied, and it will not be content or satisfied if it doesn't have taqwa. So this is very. So now we see why taqwa needs to happen first before we really embark on our journey with the Quran Kareem. A true understanding of Quran begins at that point onward. So hence, fasting helps towards the development of taqwa. So that is, we should also keep that in mind while we are fasting. We fast so that we can have taqwa. But what does that taqwa mean actually? So just as this ayah we mentioned earlier, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى, the one who gives. So the idea of giving here is in fasting. In fasting, you give. You give up. You give up your food. You give up your drink. You give up all kinds of pleasures that you indulge in because you believe that none of that will truly make you satisfied and that only God can make you satisfied. So that's the belief. That's why you're fasting. That's why you're giving up all this. You give all of this for something else. So we don't believe in like what they call asceticism for its own sake. We believe that you give up something for something. You don't give up just like that. That is philosophical. It's not religious. So we give our food, our drink, our pleasures of all kinds, expecting in return that God will grant us taqwa, the true satisfaction that food and drink cannot give us. Food and drink and all the other things that we seek, none of that can give us what taqwa can give us. So we believe that, so that's why we give them up. So it's a kind of a slow training for your soul. It's a slow training. It's part of tazkiyatun nafs. Slowly training for your soul to wean your soul away from its base means of pleasures to a higher form of satisfaction. Instead of finding satisfaction through food and drink and material pleasures, you're trying to wean your soul so that you can raise up its taste for higher things like reflection, thinking, and so forth. And so that the slowly, your wings get stronger and you begin to fly higher into higher level, higher regions of consciousness and awareness, whereby you can notice that you can go without food and drink for a very long time, because your mind is engaged in something that is much more noble, much more immaterial. So it's a training that helps liberate and trigger off all the hidden faculties that are within you, especially faculty of fikr, faculty of reflection. This is a faculty that necessarily will, if you are fasting properly, that faculty will begin to develop within you. Because our mind is engaged with these material pleasures and it takes a lot out of our time. So, alhamdulillah, 1 month is fasting, month of fasting helps you free up your mind from the pursuit of food and drink. It takes a lot of time from a lot from our time every day, especially if we have fixed meals like 3 times a day. So you have breakfast and then your mind is on lunch. You have lunch and your mind is on dinner. So just like your mind doesn't go beyond that. You are very materially bound. So we want you to get out of that cycle of thinking about the next meal, so that your mind can free up for higher thinking, so to speak. God created your mind for something higher, not for something so base. Yes, you eat when you really feel hungry, not just as a habitual eater. I have to have breakfast. If you're not hungry, you don't have breakfast. You don't have. I have to have lunch. I have to have that kind of regimented way of life. If you do that, then your faculties will never ever develop. They'll never go any higher. Just stay at this material level. You have to free up your mind. Your fikr, especially. So the fikr begins to fly like a bird, slowly flying and gaining heights until it goes out completely beyond this material world, and then travels into the inner world and comes back to you with fresh knowledge, fresh ideas. But if your fikr can never flies, it's earthly bound. You can never get good ideas, new ideas and fresh thoughts. So you have to liberate this faculty. You have to let it go. You have to free it from this bound by all these needs of the body. So your faculties never grow, never develop. And God in the Quran is constantly calling you to use these faculties. أَفَلَا تَتَفَكَّرُونَ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ أَفَلَا يَنظُرُونَ. So taqwa is necessary for you to develop, because once your soul is kind of at peace, then that it doesn't constantly beg you for more. Then you can free up your faculties now for something higher, something much more noble. God give us of course an example of somebody in Surah to A'raf, the heights. Was 175 and 72. Oh, sorry, 76. He also was the example of a person who God wanted to raise him. The sun is following me. Khair, inshallah. So the example of a person who God wanted to raise his standard. He wanted to free him, from the bonds that are holding him down onto the earth. He wants him to release him to go. Unfortunately, he was not fit. He didn't. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِ النَّبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَأَتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانُ فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. Relate unto them the news of one who we gave him our signs. God is saying that. But he shut them off. He threw them away. فَأَتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانُ. Thereafter, Shaitan followed him. فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. And he was of those who are gone astray. وَلَوْ شِئْنَا رَفَعْنَاهُ بِهَا. And we so will have raised him thereby. We wanted to raise him. رفع. But what? وَلَكِنَّهُ أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. But he inclined to the earth. I mean, he could not raise himself up. He's bound to the earth. He can't leave his food and his drink and his pleasures that binds him to the earth and be able to soar higher into other regions of consciousness. But God gave him these thoughts and ideas so that he can lift him out. That's what lifts you. Is not, no. God brings ideas to you. The ideas that if you pursue, if you keep reflecting on them slowly, your soul begins to elevate and go higher and rise into even higher levels of consciousness. So that's the story of this man. God wanted to raise him, وَلَكِنَّهُ أَخِلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ, but he inclined to the earth. So he was unfit candidate to have ma'rifah, to attain gnosis. Not only that, أَخِلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ, and follow the vain desires of his heart. أَخْرَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ, on one hand, he inclined to the earth, just like he preferred the earth over the heaven, just like the story of the people of Moses, who were provided food from heaven, and then they asked Moses, we are tired of this food, give us food from the earth. Give us potatoes, give us lentils, give us onions, that's exactly what he said. I don't know why people are so attracted to what is on the earth over what is in the heavens. So this man, the same thing, he was so attracted to the earthly thing, he could not, free himself away from these earthly attachments and rise higher into the heavens. So أَخْرَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ, on one hand, he inclined to the earth, وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ, and followed his whims and fancies. Then God gave him a likeness. One who does this, one who chooses, one who God has give him a chance to become, to enter heaven, to enter the higher regions of consciousness, but he chose to stay on the earth. He chose to stay bound to the earth. He chose to stay at the material level. That is a very bad choice. He cannot break away from his habits and attachments. So فَمَثَلُهُ, the likeness of such a person, كَمَثَلِ الْكَلْبِ, is like a dog. إِن تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْهِ يَلْهَثْ, if you attack it, the dog, it lolls its tongue out. His tongue is still hanging out if you attack him. If you leave him alone also, the tongue is lolling out. The tongue is hanging either way. So as though there is one who does this, he remains in a perpetual thirst and hunger. And that's what it is. You will never feel slaked. No. Your thirst will never be slaked by anything. No matter what you gain, your hunger will never be filled. No matter how much food you eat, or no matter how much wealth you gather, you miss a big chance. So ذَلِكَ مَثَلُ الْقَوْمِ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا, such is the example of people who belie our signs. They become like this particular image of the dog that is thirsty and his tongue is sticking out. Whether you attack him, your tongue is sticking out. Whether you leave him alone, the tongue is sticking out. Because the problem is not from outside, it's internal problem. It's an internal hunger and thirst that nothing from outside can fill up. That internal hunger cannot be filled by external food, material food. Internal thirst cannot be slaked by external water. So your satisfaction can only truly come from within. That's what we're talking about. Taqwa. So that's the example God is giving here. Is the example of one his tongue is out because he's hungry or he's thirsty, and he's out of breath, and is hankering constantly after more, but the tongue is still hanging out. So ذلك مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا. That is the example of people who have held our signs as untrue, as false. Then God says, فَقْصُصُ الْقَصَصَ, relate these stories to them. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Exactly. Maybe they will reflect. So we have the actually fikr in context. This is what truly makes a human being, is these faculties. You spend all your life, you never use your faculties properly. Your fikr is never developed. It's like your faculty of nazar is never developed. All these faculties never have been able to penetrate beyond the boundaries of the heavens and the earth and explore the higher regions of awareness and consciousness. But all that possible once taqwa is attained. As taqwa is attained, then that's when you can free yourself up to explore these powers that God has built in you. Powers, real powers that God has built in you, but which you have not been able to use. You are not being able to tap into, even though they are within. They are within you. They are powerhouses that God has built in you. Sometimes our degree of, sometimes how much we are aware of pain. Like when you're hungry, you feel pain, so that's why you want to quickly fill that gap so that the pain can go away. And you're thirsty, the same thing creates some void in you, and then you're forced to fill that void with something material. So and the same thing goes for other needs. But when you like for example fikr, when your faculty of fikr becomes stronger and is able to pull your consciousness out of your body and project it outside of you. This is the whole thing. This is the whole process. Once your fikr becomes strong, it takes your awareness out of your body and project it into higher regions. So the body becomes less sensitive to pain. So hence, that's why people who have their faculties in this level, they go a long time without food because their mind is not in their body. Their mind is away, is out, so it is not aware of hunger at all. It's not aware of it. If you're not aware of it, you don't feel it. Because your consciousness is not attached to your body. Your consciousness is focused on something else outside of you. So that allows you to stay long periods of time without need of this material satisfaction. Yeah, we're not saying that you don't need it, yes, because to preserve your body, you will need material food and drink, but you will not. It doesn't have to be all the time in that way. You should be able to have moments or time that you forget completely about your physical surrounding, everything around you, and you are able to project yourself into a different level of existence. That is not just the material surrounding around you. when we're talking about, we have stories that are amazing, and the secret is this. Forgot the name of this Sahabi who is a brother or a son of Abdullah ibn Zubair. Is a grandson of Sayyidina Abu Bakr from his daughter's Asma's child or grandchild. His feet was diseased, so the doctors have recommended that his foot has to be cut. So his wife told him that when he started to pray, you can cut his foot. When he's in prayer, he doesn't feel anything. It's not with us. The story looks like a fable today, but it's a real story. And when he goes into prayer, that's it. He does not know what happened until he's out of his prayer. Because his awareness is completely projected out. It's completely somewhere else. So you won't feel anything. Your body is like a dead body with the life force that is in it completely out of it. It's like a dead person does not feel any pain, simply because the consciousness, the awareness is out of the body. Same thing. So they cut his foot while he was in prayer. Until he was done, then he knew that his foot is cut. So many stories like that among the Sahabas. The amount of pain they bear, but they don't feel it. Abu Qatada, also in the Battle of Badr, one of his eyes was popped out completely in the battle. So he brought his eye to the Prophet ﷺ and he pushed it back in his head. And he became the better of the two eyes. He became more bright than the other one. So things like that. So when your consciousness reaches a certain level, it takes away the feeling of pain and thirst and hunger and cold and out of your body, at least temporarily, until your consciousness returns back into your body. Inshallah, that's a beautiful topic I would like to discuss more, but we have to pray now, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لنفسي ولكم. Inshallah, next Sunday we'll continue.